And we are back, and we are back. Go ahead and hit that like button. Y'all did great on the last video. You touched my little heart. We have probably more likes for views than ever, y'all. Let's keep it going. Hit the like, please. Now, y'all, what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into Shannon Stillwell's ex or current girlfriend. You're going to see why I say ex or current, because nope, she doesn't even know whether they're still together. We're going to shoot right into her testimony. Now, what you're seeing here, you're going to hear about this referenced in the trial. She was attacked in the same month that Shamel Drinks was that incident happened that we've all been talking about. She was attacked, and you can see she shot back and even got one of the attackers in the leg. You're going to see that. Then we're going to shoot into some helicopter video of the police chasing Shannon as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Remember, if you're looking to enter the legal field, we are a paralegal school over 20 years, careerparalegal.com. Check the link in the description and let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right now. Talk that talk. All right. How long have you known? You said you was one of the prettiest girls he ever had. All right. So does that mean y'all used to date?
Yes.
Okay. When did you all date?
Since 2021.
Okay. And are you all still dating now? Just yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you own guns?
Yes.
Right. How many guns have you owned? Or do you own currently?
Probably like 7, 6, I think.
Specifically, I want to ask you, have you ever owned an FN-57 pistol?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember when did you purchase that gun?
December.
December
I
of
don't
what
know.
year?
I don't remember the year.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity to look at the receipt from that purchase?
Earlier.
Okay. Well, looking at a copy of that receipt, help refresh your memory as to what year and when you purchased that weapon?
Yes.
All right. Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 425 VV. Tell me, do you recognize 425 VV?
Yes.
Okay. And let me ask, does that look like the receipt from when you purchased an FN-57?
Yes.
And I see that you're flipping through it. Does that look like the application you filled out when you went to go purchase your weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit 425 VV into evidence.
All right, that's admitted.
Looking at 425 VV, what is the date of purchase?
December 23rd, 2021.
And do you see on that receipt a serial number or an SN number?
No. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I see it.
What is the serial number listed on the receipt?
386-409-184.
All right. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as 221 VV. It's going to be kind of tiny. I want you to tell me, do you see a serial number on 221 VV on the bottom?
Yes.
What is that serial number?
386-409-184.
Is that the same serial number that's
Yes.
on the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
What color is that gun?
I think it's all black.
And does this look like the gun that you purchased?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you, and back in March of 2022, Did you allow Shannon to use that gun?
No.
Did you ever give that gun to Shannon?
No.
Were you aware that he had possession of that gun?
No.
Do you know someone by the name of Demikion Garlington?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know Demikion Garlington?
He dated my friend.
Okay. Do you know if he is a friend of Mr. Jackson
Yes, ma'am.
or Mr. Stillwell? Have you ever spoken to Demikion Garlington on his cellular phone?
Yes.
Have you ever spoken with Mr. Demikion Garlington in March of 2022 about you giving Mr. Stillwell that handgun?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the answer.
She said, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know if you've ever spoken with him?
I spoke to him, but I don't know if I spoke to him about a gun.
Specifically on March 17th, 2022, do you recall speaking to Mr. Garlington about that gun being in Mr. Shannon Stillwell's possession?
I don't remember.
Do you remember ever speaking to Mr. Garlington about the fact that Mr. Stillwell had been arrested on March 17, 2022?
After
Yes
he
or
got
no?
it? Oh, I don't know. No.
Or you don't remember?
I don't remember.
And in that call, do you remember telling Demikion Garlington that the gun he had would be a clean gun because you gave him that gun?
No, I don't know. I don't remember.
I want to take you to March 14th, 2022. Did you ever go to an Alamo rental car facility at the airport with Shannon to rent a vehicle?
Yes.
And who was the renter of the vehicle?
It was me, but we had to switch it because I don't have a credit card, so Shannon.
So did Shannon rent the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 188 VV and 189 VV. First, looking at 188 VV, is that you inside of that vehicle?
It looked like me.
And what type of car did y'all rent in March of 2022?
I don't know.
Do you remember renting a white Audi vehicle?
I didn't rent it.
Okay. Do you remember being with Mr. Stillwell Jackson when he rented the white Audi vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And looking at this picture, 188 VV, does the car appear to have any tint on the vehicle at this time?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know. It looked like it on the back.
Okay. Are you able to see inside of the car through the glass?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Pull that mic over to you and try to talk directly into it if you don't mind for us.
And is that Mr. Stillwell Jackson sitting next to you in the passenger seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in March of 2022, where were you living?
I'm still.
And specifically around March 14th, 2022, were you and Mr. Jackson staying in any hotels in the Douglasville area of Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember when you began staying in hotels in the Douglasville area?
I don't remember the day.
How long were you staying in hotels?
We was staying in a hotel since March 9th.
March 9th. Why were you staying in hotels since March 9th of 2022?
Because these girls tried to rob me.
Did you know who these girls were?
No, ma'am.
Do you know if these girls were affiliated with any gangs?
I don't know.
You said you started staying there on March 9th, 2022. Do you remember if you stayed at the hotels a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do you remember at all?
It was like 3 hotels. It was. Oh, you want me to keep going?
You stayed at 3 different hotels.
Yes, ma'am.
Over the course of how long? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do you remember?
It was probably like until he got locked up.
On March 17th. Yes. Okay. Course indulgence for one moment. For Demekion Garlington, did you have a nickname that you called him?
Scarface.
Any other nickname?
I didn't call him that, but I know his other nickname.
What's that?
Lil D.
And then Mr. Did you call him Jackson or Stillwell?
Both.
Okay. Does he have a nickname?
Bay.
Oh, that's okay. That's your nickname. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Did you ever hear people call him SB?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And in March of 2022, did you have a vehicle that you owned?
Yes, ma'am.
And what type of vehicle is that?
Scat Pack Charger.
And did Mr. Jackson have a vehicle that he owned in March of 2022?
We shared the car.
And was that you shared that Charger?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions, Roman.
Miss Alexander. Good afternoon. Hey, we've met before, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me start out with. I'm not trying to embarrass you. Okay.
Okay.
In your relationship with Shannon from 2021 to when he was arrested, were there issues, thank you, with infidelity?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. My mom messed up. Yes, sir.
Okay.
2 times.
You said 2 times? Okay. And at some point throughout your relationship, had you gone through his phone?
Yes.
Okay. When you went through his phone, you were looking for other women that he was messing with, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did he openly let you look at his phone? Or was he protective of his phone?
He wasn't there when I looked, didn't he?
Okay.
So he gave me the password.
Let me ask you this. When he was arrested on March 17, 2022, did you have interest in looking at his phone to see what he had going on?
No, I didn't have his phone.
No, I didn't say did you have his phone. I know you didn't have his phone.
Oh, did I
What-
want to?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So March 17, 2022, you want, one of the things you want to do is look at his phone
Yes.
and what he has going on inside his phone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. Now, you said something interesting on direct about being robbed. When were you robbed?
What day?
Yes.
Like the 9th, 10th?
March 9th or 10th of 2022?
I think it was March 9th.
March 9th of 2022? Okay. And Miss Alexander, at that time you were working in a cash industry, correct? And by that I mean you would get paid in cash and you would tend to have cash on you, correct?
I danced.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So at that time you were a dancer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as a dancer you get paid cash, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that robbery happened at night, correct?
Yes, sir.
Shannon wasn't with you when you got robbed?
No.
Okay. And this robbery...
I didn't get robbed. They tried to rob me.
They tried to rob you. I'm sorry. They did try to rob you. And this attempted robbery, this is all on video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And people hid out and waited for you to walk down a hallway, and then they charged you with weapons, correct?
They charged me? They charged at me?
Yeah, they charged at you.
Yes.
Okay. And because you were being robbed, you
Shot him.
shot at them.
Shot her.
Oh, you shot her. Okay. All right. Now, ultimately, the people that were trying to rob you on that video were charged, correct?
Yes, sir.
By the police?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were never charged because you were acting in self-defense.
Yeah, I didn't get charged.
Okay. But on March 9th of 2022, after someone tried to rob you and take your money from you, you became concerned for your safety, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You became concerned that people were looking out for you, correct?
Yeah, clearly.
You were concerned that people were going to try to, for some reason, get revenge on you, even though all you were doing was defending yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And beginning on March 9th, 2022, you started having concerns about people being able to know what kind of car you were driving, correct?
Yes.
And knowing where you lived, correct?
Yes.
And that was all stemming from the March 9th, 2022 incident, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, after the March 9th, 2022 incident, you certainly let Shannon know about what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you decided, even though you had a Scat Pack Charger, that's a fancy car, right?
Yeah.
Even though and that Scat Pack Charger had tinted windows, did it not?
The worst tint you could get.
The darkest tint you could get.
Yeah.
Okay, but even though you had that Scat Pack Charger with the tinted windows, you decided that you needed to get a rental, correct?
Hell yeah.
And you went and got a rental shortly after March 9th, 2022, correct?
Yeah, like, I don't know if it was the next day. I can't remember.
Okay, and do you remember where you got your rental from?
On Thornton Road, but I think it was Enterprise.
Okay. I beg the court's indulgence just for a moment. And what kind of car did you get, if you
It
recall?
was like a SUV or something. I don't remember that. I don't know.
And that was to switch it up in case someone from the March 9th incident was coming
Following.
to harm you.
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's also why you got a hotel room, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, around this time, well, actually a couple of days later, Shannon also got a rental, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he walked right into the store with you, and you guys dealt with the cashier, and he gave over his ID and his payment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about your Scat Pack. Even to this day, you had that car until recently, correct?
I still got it.
Okay, you still have it. Even to this day, you've continued to get that car wrapped, correct?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months, you get the car wrapped. What is wrapping a car?
The car color orange, but I keep switching it up.
Okay.
Keep getting a different color.
And why do you keep getting a different color?
Cause I don't know who them girls was.
Right. So even to this day, you keep switching the colors of your car that you own,
Yeah.
just to keep yourself safe.
Yes, sir.
And you got those windows tinted to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you about tint. You've gotten tint on cars before.
Every car I get.
Okay. When you go and get tint, and when they install the tint, do they tell you not to roll down your window for 24 to 48 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And if you roll down your window within that time, it can cause the tint to be damaged or bubble up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you were to get tint on, say, March 14th of 2022, that tint, those windows are not to be rolled down in order to protect the tint, correct?
Yes.
And if they are rolled down, you could see bubbling in the tint, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One last thing, Ms. Alexander, and I appreciate you being here. I'm going to take you back to March 14th of 2022. Do you remember early in the morning of March 15th reaching out to Shannon to tell him about news that you had learned about a shooting in Mechanicsville?
Yes.
Okay. And did you reach out to tell Mr. Stillwell about that shooting, or did Mr. Stillwell reach out to tell you about that shooting?
I told him.
Okay. And tell me how you found out about that shooting so quickly.
On this girl page, she was riding past.
Say it one more time.
On this girl page, she was riding past.
Okay. So
But it was on Instagram.
I understand your answer as a girl that you know was riding past Windsor Street and saw the police out there?
Yeah, it was police out there.
Okay. And then this person reached out or put on Instagram. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
and then it was, yeah.
Okay. All right. By the early morning hours of March 15th. It was not a secret that a shooting had occurred on Windsor Street, was it?
No, it was all over Instagram.
Okay. And you were concerned about Shannon's safety, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Redirect.
You talked about your car, the cars that you get, you tint all of your cars, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are those your personal vehicles?
Yeah.
Okay. Not your rental vehicles.
No.
You talked about renting a vehicle probably right after March 9th at the Enterprise. Is that fair? What kind of car did you rent at the Enterprise?
I don't remember.
What was
It
it?
was
An
like
SUV?
yeah.
Did you ever get tints on that SUV?
No.
And you kind of frowned up your face. Why'd you do that?
Ain't my car.
So it's safe to say you wouldn't get tints on a car that's not yours.
Not my car.
Now, when you went with Shannon to get the Audi, did you ever go with him to get tints on the Audi?
No.
And you frowned up your face again. Why'd you do that?
I just didn't go with him.
Now, when the Audi was rented, was that for you to drive, for Shannon to drive? What was the purpose of renting the Audi?
It was really for both of us because I was returning my car.
And when you say you returning your car, is that SUV?
Yeah, I was supposed to get the rental car.
Did Shannon ever tell you that he was going to get tints put on the Audi?
I don't remember.
After driving the Audi out of the rental facility, where did you go?
To my car,
Which car is that?
my Charger.
Where was the Charger at?
At the airport.
So did you drive the Charger to the airport? And then you all picked up the Audi from the airport?
What? Yeah. I was following him.
Okay. If you were in your Charger, before you get to the airport, if you're in the Charger, what car was Mr. Jackson driving?
The rental car.
The SUV.
We
Is
was
that-
going. Yeah, we was going to return it, but we didn't know if we could get a car, so we didn't want to be stranded there. We couldn't get it.
Okay. So you take the SUV and return the SUV to the Enterprise at the airport, and then you go to the Alamo to go rent the Audi
At the airport.
at the airport. All right. Once you drive out of the airport rental facility in the Audi, and you get back into your Charger, do you ever drive that Audi again?
Probably around Douglasville or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
The robbery that happened on March 9th, where did that occur?
Mechanicsville.
In Mechanicsville? Were you staying in Mechanicsville at the time?
No.
Where were you when the robbery took place? Where were you?
In the stairway.
Of where? An apartment, a house?
Apartment.
Whose apartment?
My friend.
Do you know any individuals who are members or associates of YFN, the Young Fly N-Words gang?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
I stayed over there.
You stayed over at Summerhill?
Yeah.
When did you stay in Summerhill?
Since 2018.
Do you know a person, I might pronounce the name wrong, Teedrick Glass?
I heard of him.
Have you ever met him?
Hmm?
Have you ever met him?
We had something going on.
Okay. Did that mean y'all kind of dated or something like that at one point? All right. Now, Mr. Shar asked you about notifying Mr. Stillwell about the shooting in Mechanicsville on March 14th, or the early morning hours on March 15th. Do you remember him asking you about that?
Yeah.
Okay. When you spoke with Mr. Stillwell, did he ever tell you that he was in the Mechanicsville area around 10 o'clock p.m. that night?
I don't remember that.
Did he ever tell you that that night he was at the BP gas station at around 10 o'clock p.m., the BP gas station in Mechanicsville?
No.
When you spoke to Mr. Stillwell that morning in the early morning hours, do you know where he was?
Studio?
Do you know where the studio is?
No.
All right. Do you know if he was with anyone?
No.
Let me ask you, do you know if he was with Demekion Garlington at all the day on March 14, 2022?
No.
Okay. Court's indulgence for a moment. Did you know Christian McMiller and Darius Ford?
No.
Or McMahon or Big?
No.
Court's indulgence. Mr. Shar asked you about when you get tinted windows, you can't roll down the windows. Do you remember him asking you that?
Yes.
Does that prevent you from opening up the door?
No. No.
So you can still open up the door even though you have tints on the window?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Recalls.
Just a couple questions. Miss Alexander, you indicated, I think, that Mr. Stillwell was in the studio in the early morning hours of March 15th, 2022, correct?
That's like 2, 3 in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And in your experience dating Mr. Stillwell was trying to start a rap career. Isn't that fair?
He was making a song about me.
He was making songs about you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure they were lovely. So how many days a week or nights a week would you say
Every day.
he was in the studio?
Every day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Thank you for your time, Miss Alexander. You are excused.
No, just switch it off.
Chris Newman, CHRIS, NEWMAN,
And how are you employed?
Sergeant with the City of Atlanta Police Department
And how long have you served as a sergeant with the City of Atlanta Police Department?
since 2019.
If you can briefly tell the jury about your career with the Atlanta Police Department.
I started out as patrol officer in Zone 3 and Zone 2, 2012. Then I transitioned to the aviation unit as an officer in 2018. Got promoted to sergeant, went to Zone 5 as a sergeant, and then I went back to the aviation unit in 2019. And then as of January this year, I've been helping out with the construction site of the new police academy.
Sergeant, if you don't mind just pulling, that mic moves, that shorter one, just pull it towards you so you can talk into it. Thank you.
Okay.
If you can tell the jurors your job duties and responsibilities as both an officer and a sergeant with the aviation unit.
So as an officer, my responsibilities were as what we call a tactical flight officer. So basically the officer that works the camera systems, the radio systems, and the spotlight systems, and communicates with officers on the ground in the helicopter.
And when you start off in the aviation unit, do you start off as a tactical officer?
Yes, kind of the pathways. You start as a tactical flight officer, and then then you can become a pilot if you transition into that.
And as a supervisor, what are your job duties and responsibilities with the aviation unit?
So my responsibilities were twofold. Main responsibilities were tactical flight officer and a pilot in command, as well as various administrative responsibilities.
Now, what types of calls will the aviation unit assist on?
Anything from helping locate missing persons, providing overwatch for parades or dignitary visits, or assisting with pursuits, police chases.
I want to direct your attention to March 17th, 2022. Did you have the occasion to assist the homicide and gang unit with a pursuit call?
Yes.
How did you get involved with assisting with that pursuit call?
That day I was performing the duties as a tactical flight officer, and we were requested to assist follow a white Audi.
And where is the aviation unit housed?
Hartsfield.
Once you received the call, what, if anything, did you do?
We had to get to the helicopter, start it up, and then get airborne and get this. My responsibility is get the systems going, camera system, radio systems, and then transit to the call.
And when you say get them going, what do you mean?
Turn them on.
Is there anything else you have to get in order to actually assist the police officers? Like what has to happen with the actual system itself?
So after we turn it on, the GPS systems has to sync on the camera, so it can get the GPS location lock for the camera system and the mapping system.
And is your pursuit video and audio recorded?
Yes.
And have you had the opportunity to review that pursuit from March 17, 2022 in preparation for your testimony today?
Yes.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's going to be marked as 337 VV. Tell me if you recognize 337 VV.
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
It's the video we watched earlier, and I signed it. Yeah.
And did that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the pursuit from March 17, 2022 involving that white Audi?
Yes.
Did there appear to be any additions or deletions?
No.
Here at this time, the state would like to admit 337 VV into evidence.
No objection.
Admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
From the airport to where you first encountered seeing the white Audi, about how long did it take to travel that distance?
I remember East Point's pretty close, so it was a couple minutes, if that.
And when you are serving and assisting, do you take over the responsibilities of kind of navigating the other vehicles that are in the pursuit on the direction of travel of your target vehicle?
Yes.
Now, if you could just orient the jury to where we are when we first, if you can orient the jury to the green items that are contained on the screen that we're looking at.
So if you just, let's start out the top left. You just have the date and time, and then we'll go clockwise around. So the next items are camera settings all the way at the top, and then the bottom right corner is where the camera is pointing location. Right now, the GPS system is still syncing, so it doesn't have a latitude and longitude yet. It takes a couple minutes for that to sync. And then if you continue going to the middle, you says IR cooling. That's just the infrared system has to cool down. It takes a certain amount of time. And then the bottom left is the actual aircraft location, latitude and longitude. And if you continue up along the left side, the middle of the left side is the orientation of where the camera is pointing in relation to the helicopter.
I just have enough UCs in the area. Yeah, I'm at a blunt in Cleveland, so when he pulls out, I can pick him up. I'm at Chevron, just about 285. Probably the first exit I'm going to get off on Cleveland. What's up? I just wait for Clemens. Get to the marshals that's coming. Hang out for a minute. Don't let them see you. That would be across the street. So if you call us, you want Roger altitude check, and we'll be Tuesday +5 if we can get somebody going the other way. I don't think that's perfect. There's actually East Point police out here in the parking lot of East Point. Yeah, you working at 88. Thank you, for the market, what's a good 5 location? This is 26 area. Hey, make it Cleveland Metro for y'all, Sean. Okay, copy. I believe Shannon is above. If Shannon is above, we got one more chance. Let's get him in the parking lot versus letting him get moving.
Hey, Phoenix, that's a negative. Our mapping system isn't up yet. Give us another little bit.
All right, y'all. I'm still behind them for reference. Like I said, right Audi 85, Maryland says 8 David David 7071. Black male, tattoo under his left eye with red or pink beanie on. He starts the neon dread. Can't tell, because he has on the beanie.
Carrier 1 on station. All right, Phoenix, we got our mapping system up. We can call it.
1840 rear line, we got GSP behind us. And then there's an entrance and exit off of Cleveland Avenue. And we're progressing towards the drive-by window right now. I can't say around the curve, but I'm thinking, it looks like he's pulling out now, y'all. Y'all might want to go ahead and call the Phoenix.
All right, yeah, he's pulling out to Cleveland Avenue exit. All right, he's making a right turn westbound on Cleveland Avenue.
Okay, the unit's have the westbound on Cleveland.
And again, so everybody knows, it's a white 4-door Audi.
We are going to be in pursuit. We're currently westbound.
Okay, I have to get white Audi. What?
Yeah, from radio.
Okay, I have to get white Audi. What?
Yeah, from radio. I can have the radio. You don't need to, you can cancel the repeat. Coming up to Normanberry, continuing westbound through Normanberry, still westbound on Cleveland. And he's driving normally, only about 40 to 50.
The more units stand by until we get GSP or another more unit with you before you engage.
Alright, he stopped at the red light, Cleveland and Harris, making a right turn northbound on Harris Street from Cleveland.
Hey, if I'm at Cleveland Metro, I need to go east or west. I got GSP behind me.
Westbound, he's at Normanberry, Harris and Normanberry.
Has he already passed Metro?
Yeah, he's in East Point. Westbound, left turn on Normanberry from Harris Street. Alright, left turn southbound on North Martin Street. If anybody can 6-2 over to MA3, East Point's running a joint detail. They got a bunch of units out. No, he made a left turn southbound on North Martin Street. Now he's back at Cleveland Avenue intersection, making a continuing straight southbound on North Martin from Cleveland Avenue.
Yeah, 2503 to take the radio.
Alright, he's at Irene Kidd Parkway, right turn westbound on Irene Kidd Parkway, coming up to Central Avenue. Irene Kidd Parkway turns into Washington Road, so he's continuing westbound on Washington Road from Central Avenue. Alright, he's at the intersection with Main Street, Washington Road and Main Street, making a right turn northbound on Main Street from Washington. Alright, he's making a left turn onto Dorsey Avenue, westbound on Dorsey Ave from Main Street. Alright, he's coming up to East Point Street. Alright, right turn the wrong way, northbound on East Point Street, so he's against traffic, coming up to Thompson Avenue. Alright, he's making a left turn westbound on Thompson Avenue from East Point Street. Alright, coming up to Church Street. Southbound on Church Street from Thompson. Made a right turn westbound on Dorsey Ave from Church Street. Passing Cheney Street, still west on Dorsey. At the dead end was Sims, left turn southbound on Sims Street from Dorsey. Coming back out to Washington Road. So Washington Road at Sims. Made a right turn westbound on Washington Road from Sims.
Alright, Tower, please start one. We're currently westbound, but we're going to slowly be switching to southwestbound from here. Everyone, roger. It is slow moving. We don't have units behind it yet.
All right, passing 8th Street on Washington Road. He's doing about 50 to 60 miles an hour. All right, coming up to Ben Hills, making a right turn westbound on Ben Hill. All right, he's coming up to the intersection with DeLow, so he's on Ben Hill facing westbound at the intersection with DeLow. All right, he's passing cars now, westbound, passing DeLow. All right, Ben Hill Road. Ben's northbound, so he's north on Ben Hill Road. All right, Ben's back westbound, so he's continuing westbound on Ben Hill Road, 2300 block, coming up to Meadow Lark Drive.
APD was up behind the escort with a GSP 1020. GSP departure 1020.
All right, he's making a left turn southbound on Meadow Lark Drive.
Drop away with APD, like GSP 1020.
All right, this is a neighborhood he turned into.
Well, he got East Point behind it. They're on MA3.
All right, receive. If they can switch over to SOS. Meadow Lark Ben's westbound. So he's westbound on Meadow Lark, coming up the Boulder Way. All right, he's pulling into a driveway. 2481 Meadow Lark Drive. Driver he got two running. Driver has a maroon colored beanie on, black jacket, blue jeans. They're both running northbound behind 2481 Meadow Lark Drive.
Tower 1 pursuit over on station.
He got two East Point behind him.
Everyone out there will be looking.
All right, somebody get behind 2471 Meadow Lark.
Run towards Ore Drive.
All right, somebody get onto Ore Drive will be the north side of perimeter. All right, Phoenix, be advised, I lost eyes on the one I was tracking.
They advised on MA3, they got several gunpoint behind our house. They need some help. Can you give us a location again?
2481 Meadow Lark Drive.
It's a White House.
If any units on the ground can confirm that they have both at gunpoint.
Yes, here we go.
All right, copy that. They got both of them. One of them threw a bag directly on the 3 side behind 2481 Meadow Lark, black book bag.
Okay. Okay, we got everybody secured. Got a GSP unit here at Meadow Lark. I'm not sure the numbers here with a firearm city call.
Sergeant Kleinens.
Hey, come on, go ahead.
Are you down there on scene with GSP? Did they recover the book bag?
Lieutenant Wolfo. I think we got your guy.
Now, just a few questions. When the screen goes from, it changes like black and white or like a grayish color, what is happening there?
I'm just switching from what we call the daylight camera to the infrared camera.
And what will be your purpose of switching from the daylight camera to the infrared camera?
As you can see, with all the tree coverage, sometimes it's easier to continue following the vehicle when you switch to the IR camera.
Now, when you first saw the two individuals get out of the car, you described one of them having a beanie on his head.
Yes.
When they were walking back towards the street, did you see either of them with a beanie on their head?
I don't recall.
And while we're pulling it up, when you had to switch to MA3, what did that mean?
Just switching radio channels.
Do you see the individual in the blue jeans?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see him with a beanie on his head? With that same pink beanie that you saw earlier?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. And do you see the individual with the white shirt on and the black jacket?
Yes.
Do you see that individual with the beanie on its head?
No.
Okay. Court's indulgence. I have no further questions.
Mr. Abate, could you please just cue it to 1404? Good afternoon, Sergeant Newman. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay? There's a lot of voices on that video, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe your voice can be heard saying that you saw someone throw something in the bushes or throw a bag in the bushes.
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, I'll ask permission to publish what was just shown, just beginning at 1404. Yes, please.
Northbound behind 2481 Meadowlark Drive.
Tower one pursuit over on station.
You got 2 East Point behind him.
I'm sorry, sir. Is this after they pulled in?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Abate. Could you just, as they're pulling in? My apologies.
Coming up the Boulder Way. All right, he's pulling into a driveway. 2481 Meadowlark Drive.
Okay. At this point, and you have the vantage point, you're the eye in the sky at this point, correct?
Yes.
And even though you're in a helicopter, which would be scary to me, you're able to look down on the ground and see what's going on as you're in a helicopter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you just saw the man in the pink beanie get out the driver's side, correct?
Yes.
Get out the white Audi with tinted windows.
Correct.
All right. And then you see another gentleman get out the passenger side.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Abate, could you just play?
Driver is he got two running. Driver has a maroon colored.
It's okay. It's not your fault. You were able to see who had the book bag, correct?
Yes.
Was it the driver or the passenger?
Passenger.
Okay. And it's the passenger that you saw discard the book bag into the bushes, correct?
Yes.
All right. And That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything? Any redirect? No redirect. All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
Angela Camp, Angela Camp. At the time I worked this case, I was Angela North, North.
Good afternoon. How are you currently employed?
I am currently a high school math teacher.
And how long have you been serving as a high school math teacher?
This is my second year.
Prior to serving as a high school math teacher, what, if anything, did you do for work?
I was a firearms and tool marks examiner for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
And how long did you work for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations?
Almost 6 years.
If you can tell the jury about your education and training in ballistics and firearms analysis.
I have a bachelor's degree in biology from the University of Georgia. Once I was hired with GBI, I underwent a 17-month training program where I learned ammunition manufacturing and development, firearms manufacturing and development, muzzle to target distance determination, serial number restoration, and the majority of my time was spent on a comparison microscope comparing bullets to bullets and cartridge cases to cartridge cases to determine if they were fired from the same firearm. In addition to that, I have completed multiple certified armorers courses, and I have also served as a supervisor for new scientists. And I have toured various manufacturing facilities where they're actually making the guns and making ammunition for the guns as well.
When you were working at the GBI, approximately how many cases dealing with firearms did you analyze?
Hundreds.
And have you ever been qualified to testify as an expert in the state of Georgia?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender Ms. Angela Camp as an expert in the area of firearms and ballistics analysis.
No objection.
All right, she is so qualified and may testify as an expert as that.
When you were serving as a firearms examiner with the GBI, what were some of your job duties and responsibilities?
So it varied depending on what the case entailed. Typically, I would look at bullets from autopsies or cartridge cases found on the scene, and I can explain a little more in detail what cartridge cases are. And I would analyze them to determine what type of firearm they were fired from, and if there were multiple, I could look and see were they all fired from the same firearm, were they not, and so on. If I had a suspect firearm, I could create test fires of that firearm and compare them to the evidence to see was this the gun that fired these evidence or not. In addition to that, we also did tool mark services. I mentioned earlier muzzle to target distance determination. That's just seeing how far away the muzzle of the gun was from the target at the time that it was shot. And then we also did serial number restoration. Additionally, once we identified that a firearm was involved in an incident, then I would do a check function test on that firearm, making sure all the safeties worked, making sure the firearm was healthy, testing for trigger pulls, and so on, like the value of the trigger pull.
I want to direct your attention to case number, DOFS case number 2022-1007212 and 2022-1008-698. Have you had opportunity to review those cases?
I have reviewed them. I don't have copies with me now.
Okay. Permission to approach, Your Honor.
You may.
I'm going to hand you what I'm going to mark as 500 VVA and 500 VVB. First, do you recognize those two items?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize those two items?
They have their copies of my report. They have my signature on them, as well as the case numbers that the GBI placed on these cases.
Okay. And does this appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of your reports for those two case numbers, DOFS case number 2022-1007212 and 2022-108698?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit Exhibit 500 VVA and 500 VVB into evidence.
Admitted.
First, starting with both of those DOFS case numbers, is it the same report with two different numbers?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And sitting here today, do you know why there will be two reports with two different numbers, the same report with two different numbers?
Sometimes when evidence gets submitted, they're not related initially, and so GBI will give the evidence its own case number, and then once it's related later, the evidence will be intercompared, and each one will just have its own case number, but they will be compared to each other.
All right. And we will operate then off of 500 BVA, which is 2022-1007212. First, what agency submitted evidence to be tested?
The Atlanta Police Department and the Fulton County Medical Examiner.
And what is the agency reference number for this case?
For the Atlanta Police Department, it is 220-731-882.
And who was the victim in the case?
Shimel Drinks.
And what did you receive to be tested?
I received a .40 caliber bullet, and I received another .40 caliber bullet.
Okay. Permission to approach?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 390 VV and 389 VV. Tell me if you recognize those two items.
I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is my seal and initial from the GBI, and also it has my item number and case number associated with both of these.
And do they appear to be in the same or similar condition as when you tested it back in 2022?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would like to admit State's Exhibit 388 VV, 389 VV, and 390 VV into evidence.
I'm sorry. Can I see 388?
389.
Did you say 388?
That was my mistake.
Oh, okay. Just two. Okay, I'm good. Thank
So
you.
what is it? 388.
389 VV and 390.
All right, so no 388. No. All right, those are admitted.
And what type of testing were you able to do with those two items?
I was able to compare them to each other to determine if they were fired from the same firearm, and I was able to determine a type weapon list of what may have fired it.
And first, were they fired from the same firearm?
Yes, they were.
And what type of firearm was it consistent from being fired from?
Glock .40 caliber pistols.
And after doing your report, did that conclude your involvement as it relates to this DOFS case number 2022-1007212?
Yes.
All right. Did you also do additional testing in this case for DOFS case number 2023-1001777?
Yes, I did.
And did it also have the same case number? It's also a report with the same case number of the 2022-1007212 a similar report as the 2023 case number?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you need to look at a copy of?
That would be helpful.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 503 VV and 504 VV. Tell me if you recognize those two reports.
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize those two reports?
These are also copies of my reports.
And do those appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of your reports that you generated for the items that you tested in this case?
They do.
All right. Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit Exhibit 503 and 504 VV into evidence.
Admitted.
And again, looking at 503 and 504 VV, do they appear to contain the similar information in both reports?
Yes.
All right. We're going to look at the DOFS case number ending in 1007212. Who was the agency that submitted the items for testing?
The Fulton County District Attorney.
And who was the victim in that case?
Shymel Drinks.
And what were you given?
I received an FN 5.7 pistol, some cartridges, which is unfired ammunition, and 11 cartridge cases, which are fired ammunition.
All right. Permission to approach?
You may.
First, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 221 BV. Tell me if you recognize 221 BV.
I do. It has my seal and initial on it, as well as the GBI case number and item number.
And what is contained in 221 BV?
This is the 5.7 pistol.
And I'm also going to now show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 424 BV. Tell me if you recognize 424 BV.
I do. It has my seal and initial again as well.
And looking inside of 424 VV, tell me if you recognize any of the items inside of 424 VV.
Yes, these have my initials and item number as well as seals on them.
And what are those items?
These are the 11 5.7 cartridge cases. Okay.
And are those the items that you tested that were given to you by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
Yes, they are.
And Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit State's Exhibit 221 VV into evidence.
Admitted.
The gun.
No objection.
Thank you. It's admitted without objection.
What were you able to test in this case?
I was able to compare these cartridge cases together to see if they were fired from the same firearm. And then I also compared them to this firearm to see if this was the firearm that fired it.
So first, were the items that you tested, the shell casings, fired from the same firearm?
Yes, these were all fired from the same firearm.
And then were those items fired from that firearm?
Yes, they were.
And you may have said, and forgive me, what type of shell casings were the shell casings that you tested?
So they were the caliber 5.7 by 28 millimeter.
After determining that FN firearm fired those shell casings and creating a report, did that conclude your involvement in this case?
Yes, I did a check function test on the firearm as well, and then that concluded it.
And what's a check function test?
It was operational. It's where I test the trigger pulls, I test every safety, I take it apart and look at it and put it back together.
And what was the conclusion after doing the check function test?
It was healthy and operational.
All right. Court's indulgence for a moment. No further questions.
Good afternoon, Ms. Camp.
Good afternoon.
Max Shard is my name. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay? All right, thank you. Just want to back up before we get into specifics. Seems like you did two different types of tests in this case. You had one situation where you had a firearm and you were comparing the firearm with shell casings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now in your line of work, what that test, that matchup, what's that called?
Firearms identification.
Firearms identification. Okay, and then it seems like also in a separate report, you had two, not shell casings now, not a firearm, but you had two bullets, correct?
Correct.
And you were trying to determine if those bullets were fired by the same gun, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what is that test called?
That's also firearms identification.
Okay, I didn't get very far with parsing those out if they had the same name. Okay. Let's talk about your work on February 3rd, which was involved the shell casings and the gun, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, you receive 11 shell casings, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And those shell casings, what caliber of shell casings were those?
Those were 5.7 by 28 millimeter cartridge cases.
Okay. And that was in case number...
Would you like me to read it?
Do you have what I'm trying to figure out is, do you have a cross-reference number so we could compare this to actual incidents to know where those shell casings came from?
No, I do not. As far as on the scene where they were collected, yes. I do not.
You received them from APD? Or from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
Yes, Fulton County DA.
Okay. And they gave those to you on January 17, 2023?
Correct.
All right. And it was 11 of them?
Yes.
Okay. And then you're also given a firearm, a 5.7 by 28 firearm, correct?
Yes.
FN.
Correct.
All right. And you're given those by the district attorney on December 15, 2022?
Correct.
Okay. And then additionally, you're given 19 unspent rounds.
Yes.
Okay. So your work on this case, you got 11 spent rounds that were collected. Your Honor, I think we have a stipulation
Okay.
Your Honor, we're going to stipulate that the shell casings referenced in her report come from the March 16, 2022 shooting at 2830 Waters Road.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Y'all
Ms.
write
Hill.
that up for me at some point, okay?
Okay. So based on that stipulation, you have 11 shell casings collected from 2830 Waters Road incident on March 16. Okay? You're saying, okay, wasn't part of that stipulation. Okay.
I don't know where they came from, where they
Fair
were
enough.
collected. Okay.
But they also provide you with the unfired cartridges, and you use those unfired cartridges that came with the gun to test fire the gun, correct?
Yes, I used 3 cartridges from the 19 that were unfired to test fire the firearm.
And then because you test fired using that FN 5.7 handgun, you now have the markings from that firearm, and you can compare them to the shell casings collected from 2830 Waters Road on March 16th of 2022.
What I can testify to
Okay.
is that I did create those test fires, so I had the data from the gun, and I compared them to the 11 cartridge cases submitted to me. But I wasn't there when they were collected, so just to clarify that part.
Understood. And you determined that the FN firearm, the 5.7, that you were given was the firearm, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, was the firearm that fired those shell casings that were collected and provided to you by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
Yes, it was the firearm that.
Okay, perfect. Now, the other work that you did on this case, and this is, I'm going to your other report.
Okay.
Okay, you were provided a I'm referring to 389 VV and 390 VV. Do you have them up there with you?
I believe so. The 40 caliber report.
Yes. No, the exhibits. May I approach?
You may.
Sorry.
Oops, fine.
390 and 389.
Okay, this is 389 and 390 VV.
Yes.
Okay. In this report, when you had 2 bullets and you were trying to determine if they were fired by the same gun, right?
Correct.
Okay. Even though this was provided by the ME's office, correct? Fulton County ME's office?
Yes.
Okay. And the ME is the people that perform autopsies.
Right, the medical examiners.
Okay. Do you have any notes or knowledge of are there 1 or 2 projectiles in this package?
There's only one. The other one contained fibrous material.
Okay, so you got a projectile and fibrous material in here. And do you know where these came from, other than the ME's office?
I know they're from which victim it's from.
What's that?
Chamel Drinks.
Jamal Drinks, okay. And then here is another projectile with victim Chamel Drinks. Correct?
Yes. On the same report. That was the victim listed on the report.
Okay. And so what you were tasked with, you were given something from the ME's office, a projectile from the ME's, collected by the ME's office and given to you, and then a projectile provided by the Atlanta Police Department.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And you were tasked with determining if those 2 projectiles were fired with the same gun.
Correct.
Okay. And now those 2 projectiles, and when I say projectiles, we're talking about no longer in its casing, they've been fired, they're not in the shell cases anymore, and they may or may not have hit someone. Is that fair to say?
Right, it's the part that has traveled down the barrel of the firearm.
Okay. Those 2 projectiles that you were comparing to each other, isn't it true that they were both 40 caliber bullets?
Yes.
Okay. And then you were asked to compare them, and you determined that those 2 .40 caliber bullets were shot by the same handgun.
Yes.
And that handgun was consistent. Your report says consistent with being shot by a Glock 40 handgun.
Correct.
Okay, and how do you make the determination about specifically, just from those little pieces of metal, that they were fired by a Glock 40?
So there's different manufacturers will rifle the insides of barrels differently. And what I mean by rifling is that manufacturers will put a series of lands and grooves on the inside of the barrel to make the bullet spin. And the reason to do that is to make it more accurate and to make it travel further. Well, different manufacturers will do different things. Sometimes they'll have 6 lands and grooves going to the left. Sometimes they'll have 8 lands and grooves going to the right. Sometimes you can tell that the tool was different that they used to rifle them. So all of this data is measurable, and we can enter it into a database maintained by the Association of Firearms and Tool Marks Examiners. That database has also been maintained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation as well. So once we enter the data into the database, it will return to us the list of firearms rifled in that way. These in particular were consistent with Glock in the way that Glock rifles their firearms, the type of tool that they use, the way that the lands and grooves are, the number of them, and the direction that they're twisting as well.
Your Honor, I think we have another stipulation,
All
in
right.
fact, to try to ease this along.
Appreciate it.
I think both sides stipulate that the 240 caliber bullets were, one was collected by the ME during the autopsy of Shamal Drinks, and one was collected from the Red Versa by APD. That Red Versa driven by Shamal Drinks.
Thank you.
Okay, so those 240s based on 240 caliber bullets based on your work on this case, fired by a Glock 40.
Yes.
Okay, now going back to 221 VV, the handgun in front of you.
Okay.
That was okay. That FN 5.7 by 28. Can that gun shoot 40 caliber bullets?
No.
How about a 45 FN 45 caliber handgun? Could that shoot 40 caliber bullets?
The diameter is larger, however, the head spacing would likely not work correctly.
And it would also leave different lands and grooves.
Yes.
In a Glock 40
It would
caliber
leave
handgun.
different lands and grooves than a Glock 40 caliber handgun.
Thank you so much.
Anything, Mr. Weinstein? No. Redirect? No. All right, thank you for your time. You may step down. Do you have another witness that's going to allow? Okay. Go ahead.